Here's what I want you to do. I want you to give me 3 words to describe the impact of the return of Christian McCaffrey.
3 words or
Yes.
2? Because I was going to say changes everything.
Okay, well, this changes everything. But okay, we got to work on this act, folks. We had
You
this.
sprung it on me. You sprung it on me.
The words say this changes everything. Anyway, here's the tape.
You guys will never be O's. You'll never be O's.
Can I go to my tape?
Go to the tape.
This changes everything. You heard about Jeff saying creating space. This changes everything. You see how he gets open here? It's an option route. No, it's a wheel route. He's got 6-yard separation. Are you kidding me? This doesn't happen. He's 15 yards on the field with 6-yard separation. Creating space. This changes everything. Look at this. Okay, I got him in the flat. No problem. Oh, by the way, this dude is strong as you know what. Running through tacklers. That's right. That's in the NFC Championship game. There's 2 of them, 3, 4, still on his feet. Like, this dude runs hard. You are going to see the real 49ers today. None of this stuff. Hey, this Mason's great. Mason can't hold this dude's jockstrap. This guy right here is an amazing talent. We never seen anything like it. The best all-around back in football.
I'm going to pump them brakes right quick because you're talking about Jordan Mason, Rex Ryan. 3rd in the National Football League, 5.1 yards per rush.
As a rusher.
So what you're actually showing is Christian McCaffrey in the passing game. Okay, hold
100%.
on. Last year, Christian McCaffrey, 5.4 yards, won Offensive Player of the Year. So 0.3 yards, the difference between the 2 of them. I'm not saying to put Jordan Mason on the bench. What I am saying, with a guy like Christian McCaffrey coming back and the impact that he's going to make, don't just sleep on Jordan Mason and the impact that he's made on this team while Christian McCaffrey.
When you focus on just the running factor of it, that's right. This guy is so much better than just him as a runner, which, by the way, 5.4 carries, pretty impressive. And by the way, the touchdowns, let's not forget that he slaughtered the touchdown thing last year.
Right.
So to me, it's what he does. Why I show passes, creating space, what they're talking about. You hear it directly from the Niners. He does all of that stuff.
You got to
the
call
best
those
receiver
plays,
on your team is Christian McCaffrey,
you got to call
who happens
those
to be a
plays.
running back.
Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, okay, as the coach, you have to call those plays for knowing that the tailback can do that type of production and the quarterback knows where his bread is buttered. At this time last year, they were like top 3. They were 3rd in the league in terms of targeting the running back. At this time this year, they're 26th.
Yeah.
So it's
not
choice.
much of a difference.
Yeah, and it's a choice the quarterback makes in terms of, I know who I have and how I can throw him the ball, and what the play caller calls. This is incredibly big for the Niners.
I want to see what type of defense, excuse me, Adam. I want to see what type of defense Todd Bowles calls. And the reason why, as good as this offense has been over time, the number 1 wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk, is out. So you may be able to cover this team different with Christian McCaffrey coming in, and they're on the road. So I just want to see what type of game plan Todd Bowles has today.
And that helps mask the absence of Brandon Ayuk, getting back Christian Ayuk, who is as good as a slot receiver. And you mentioned Jordan Mason. I'm just going to tell you, in the second half of the season, watch Isaac Guerendo, the running back. Watch Isaac Guerendo.
Okay.
He may wind up being the number 2 running back behind Christian McCaffrey. So Jordan Mason might be 3rd in the league in rushing, and might, by the end of the season, be 3rd on their depth chart in running backs.
Which would be remarkable. So we haven't even talked about the Bucs. Rex, give me 9 words to describe. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Can I just say? No more numbering the words. Okay, I'm not doing that ever again.
Everything.
Can we just put the Buccaneers' remaining schedule on without meaning to disrespect anyone? Look at the remaining schedule the Buccaneers have. It is remarkably manageable, if I may use the kindest word
term,
I could come up with. So if you're ruling out the Buccaneers because of all their injuries, you are making a mistake.
I've seen enough of this Baker Mayfield kid. Enough. This guy's a gamer. And I would not put it past him to go out there and beat this San Francisco 49er team, because he only plays one way. I don't care if Evans is out there or Godwin's out there. He's got this guy. he'll throw to anybody. He'll be successful. All right, everybody loves playing for him. And Cade Otton, the tight end,
Man.
no, you can't stop him.
Yeah.
This guy's been all over the place. He's having a great year. The Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield, if they get this one and go through that schedule, watch out.
And I know the Niners are coming off their bye, but this is the game that scares them because the Buccaneers are coming off a short week. They're getting ready for their bye. They've lost a couple of games in a row. They feel like this team today is very dangerous.
So, Randy, I live in New York, and every day I got people walking up to me in the street. The Jets are going to make a run. The Jets are going to make a run. If they're going to, who is the one person it all rests on?
It's the obvious. The quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. We sit up here last week, for the last couple of weeks, and I think it was you, Brew, talking about he has the key to the whole organization. So it's all about Aaron Rodgers. And to me, going on the road, playing a very tough Arizona Cardinals team led by Kyler Murray, I'm just anxious to see a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. As much football as he's known, as much defenses that he's seen, I want to see him call his own play. And what I mean by calling his own play, after a play, you're going to see guys running on and off the field. Man, leave them guys over there. Hey, Todd Downing, respect him. He's the offensive coordinator calling the plays, but sooner or later, you're asking me, this thing has to get going. So who's going to turn it around? It's going to be Aaron Rodgers calling his own play, picking up some tempo this offense. I said at the beginning of it that Garrett Wilson leads all pass catchers in the NFL in receptions. Yeah. So they have playmakers out there. Sooner or later, Aaron Rodgers has to be able to call his play. Could it start today? I would love to see it.
Well, I tell you, it's interesting because, the Jets are they have more delay of game penalties than any team in the league. So that's one way to cut down on penalties.
Speed it up.
To speed it up. Tempo, something like that. Is
Rodgers playing well enough to do what the Jet fans think he's about to do? Are you seeing the Aaron Rodgers we have been seeing for the last 20 years?
All right, well, first off, I'm the same guy that said they were going to win 10 or 11 games, right? And got laughed at. I see why people are laughing. This is not the same Aaron Rodgers. He looks old. He looks old to me. He's not as accurate as he's been. So that's an issue. And today, specifically, this Cardinal team, man, they are not the Cardinals you think they are. They are a physical-ass football team.
Yes,
so to me, this is going to be a great matchup. Look, Aaron Rodgers is still talent. He's just not like the Hall of Fame Aaron Rodgers player right now.
I know Aaron's got to do a lot, but, man, this is, defensively, let's step it up instead of playing, just sitting there on the sideline and waiting for him to throw it to Adams and Garrett Wilson and get a 2-score game and stop the run. When you can't stop the run, it's like a virus, okay? It's like a virus that you can rarely get rid of. You can try the antibiotics, you can put creams on it, you can do whatever you want, but it'll always come back. This is the game where it comes back, Rex. This is what you're talking about. This Arizona Cardinal run game comes right in your face, all right? James Conner, you got 3 tight ends. Kyler's involved in it, and they don't really care. They're just coming right at you. And that virus is going to show itself today unless they get some type of vaccine. I'm telling you, because it's not happening. Because if that's the main problem, and Aaron Rodgers he may not see the field. They just eat up this clock. This is one of the toughest tackles in the game in Conner. You got one of the quarterbacks. You run those quarterback counters. He's one of the toughest tackles in the game. And the offensive line. And then you start with this tight end, Trey McBride. He's third among tight ends in receptions and yards. This is a power football team that can attack that virus.
And that's where the Jets have been vulnerable against the tight ends in the past when they played this season. And you talk about the virus. Look, the Jets won that Thursday night game against New England, and everybody was talking about how great they looked, and they proceeded to lose 5 straight games.
Right.
And then they finally win a game last week, and now everybody's saying, are the Jets back? Are they going to go on a run? How about sustaining some success, winning on the road, and doing some things in a consistent fashion to where we can talk about the Jets as a legitimate playoff team? Don't get the virus. Shut down the tight end. Go win a game that is challenging to win on the road. And then we could have some of these conversations again.
They may be playing on the wrong day of the week. The Jets are 2-0 on Thursday. They're 1-6 on Sunday and Monday. I will say Aaron Rodgers finding the vaccine will be one of the great ironies we've seen in the NFL in a very long time.
I went down that rabbit hole a little bit, and I'm like, what am I doing here? But, I just went with it.
I couldn't leave it alone. By the way, when the Jets first got, and this is how prescient Randy Moss is. When the Jets first got Davante Adams, you said they can't just be feeding him the ball. It can't just be about Aaron and Davante Adams. And it has worked by keeping Garrett Wilson the central focus.
Well, the thing about it was we knew what Aaron and Davante meant to one another in Green Bay. But now you have a number one in New York. So Davante Adams was not the number one coming from Las Vegas. He was just added help to come and help this offense. So to me, I think there 20, like a two target difference between their receptions, and Garrett leads all pass catchers. But I'm just anxious to see next couple of weeks what this offense is going to look like. Yes, we have seen signs and glimpses of the greatness of Garrett Wilson. Will it continue? I want to see it.
I mean, it should. I mean, let's face it. The Arizona Cardinals still are horrible on defense.
Defensively, yes.
Like, come on. Like today, it better show up. If it doesn't, that's
well. If they're horrible on defense, that means that I want to see more points on the board. You're talking about on the road. The New York Jets are averaging 19 points on the road a game. So you're talking about their defense is horrible. More touchdowns today, and I think it starts with Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson.
I mean, on paper, they should score 30 points.
They should, and that's why I think
on paper they should.
I think the Cardinals need to respect the actual possibility, like you're talking about, of Aaron getting hot in this offense, being able to score and almost playing defense offensively in terms of running the football, being methodical, taking time off the clock, because it's a potential explosion over there based on what we saw last week, Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams. So that running that football will help that defense, because you're right, Rex, they struggle this week.
Rex, you had a conversation with the at times embattled coach of the Eagles. What was that conversation like?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It's funny, but Dan talked about like those fourth down calls, because I brought it up to him. You know, I'm like, I mean, I understand being aggressive, but sometimes, like, damn, like, you know, come on. But he goes, the faith that he has in his players. His dad, it's funny, he goes, you sound like my dad, who his dad was a football coach for years and years. And both of us told him the same thing, like, it's okay to kick, it's okay to punt. And either way, he's like, look, Dad, if you had A.J. Brown, or you had Saquon Barkley, and you had Jalen Hurts, you'll go for it too. And so his point is he has such belief in his players. That's what I got out of it. And the thing I know about Nick Sirianni, like this guy's got some lead in his pencil. All right, it was I enjoyed talking to him. All right, but he said he's going to be true to himself. 100%. I don't care if people are booing or what. He's going to be true to himself. He has this belief in his players, and by gosh, he's going to go for it in things. But
we as players appreciate the belief that the coaches have in us. But because we'll go out there and you tell us to do something, coach, we'll get it done. But a lot of those players you mentioned, they've been to the championship game before, you know what I mean? So they're also smart. And so when you bring in a call that when you get to the point that some of these players are at, there's a process that we go through. It's like, that's a stupid call. We shouldn't be doing this. So we're thinking too, and we know we love the belief, man, but we know you're wrong right now. What are we doing this for? I think Sirianni's an emotional time bomb at times, and he can be the only reason why this team doesn't go far. He has to exercise some type of self-control because these are smart. Lane Johnson, come on, man. Lane Johnson, Jalen Hurts, Saquon knows. He knows what's right and what's wrong in terms of situational football, what the right call should be, what the wrong call should be. And there's the one best feeling you have is when you're on the same page with your same coach, with your coach. Be yourself, yes, but we know what needs to be done right that we talked about all those weeks in the meeting room, and the right decision is made. Let's go do it. This is the time for the tush push. No, this isn't the time for the tush push. This is the time we kick an extra point. This is the time we do things like that. We know as experienced players, and the Eagles have plenty.
Well, the thing I'm going to say is this. Part of my conversation was that, look, I disagree with a lot of some of, those things. You mentioned about going for 2 instead of kicking the extra point, you'd be up 17 points. I go, if I'm your coordinator, that team ain't going to score 17. I'm going to give a rat's who you got. So to me, that was kind of the cool part of this conversation. One thing I'll guarantee you he's got right is the formula. All right? Okay. He runs the ball right now during this streak 2-1 runs to passes. And what does that help? We talked about it. Randy, you even told me, it's explosive passing attack. It is, because everybody has to come down to the party to stop that run.
Yes.
That gives the play action. Your guy, A.J. Brown, and the Slim Reaper,
Yes.
Smith,
Devontae.
all those guys right there are getting one-on-one opportunities. All right, and so to me, that's that formula that absolutely he's crushing it with. And to me, that you can say, well, he's not right here or whatever. One thing he is, the most important thing is, he runs the football and it sets up his pass, and he's able to put more protection in it. To me, that formula is tough. I think they're the second best team in the NFC.
And throughout the season, yes, Rex, I will agree with you that some of that formula has worked at times. But let me get back to what I saw last week. 0 for 2 on 4th down and 0 for 3 on 2-point conversions. There's a reason why I picked the Dallas Cowboys as my dog of the week. And the reason why, you got a hungry backup quarterback in Cooper Rush that's really showed what he showed me last week. I know he came in the game late in the game for Dak Prescott, but what he showed me, Greeny, he can distribute the ball to the whole offense. Where with Dak, it was just him and CeeDee Lamb. And I just said, in order for you to get your main man open, other players in this offense has to step up for you. If there's one player, I looked at Brooks last week. Nobody knows about Brooks. Nobody in the Dallas organization fan base knows about Brooks. But he had 0 for 4, but he had 4 targets. The reason why I picked the Dallas Cowboys, Cooper Rush is going to spread this ball around today. With Parsons coming in, it's going to give him some extra motivation to go out here and make the Philadelphia Eagles look foolish.
Not only that, but you said to me last night, and I wrote it down because I loved it, you said, Sirianni, some of those decisions could light the wick. You know, the Cowboys, they just need something to make them believe.
And Micah Parsons is the one. If you come out here on 4th down, let Parsons come through there and bust them 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and see what Jerry's world to do.
I was looking at some of the numbers, and I don't know that everybody realizes.
I always got to pump the brakes on you when you say the best team in the NFL is the Detroit Lions, and you got to mention the Chiefs every single time.
Well, by point differential, they are overwhelmingly the best team, and at this point in the season,
a lot of numbers here.
I know.
Numbers here. You're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2-time back-to-back Super Bowl champions that are undefeated right now, and you're throwing Detroit in my face, and it just bothers me a little bit.
Well, the problem with you Patriots is you pay too much attention to who wins and who loses. I'm looking at a lot of other factors that come into these things.
Okay, I'm with you, Green. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
So I was looking at this, and I don't know that everybody realizes.
Detroit didn't get the whip Kansas City.
The Texans are second in the league in defense, at least in yardage allowed. What does that make you think?
It's going to be great, man. Number 2 ranked defense against this offense. What's going to happen when they get their ass kicked today by Detroit, just like Kansas City will and everybody else will? It makes no difference. So tonight, look for that number 2 ranked defense. Let's see how far they fall after this game.
So that number 2 defense doesn't impress you?
Not to me, because that Detroit Lion offense impresses me. They can run the ball down your throat with 2 running backs. They can throw it all over. The most creative offense in the National Football League, the best coaching staff in the National Football League. That's Ben Johnson. The impact that Bill Walsh had in this game, I see the same kind of impact on this guy. Why does every team in the league with a coaching vacancy going to go after this guy right here? He's that special. And Dan Campbell the same way. So to me, that's going to be when you combine talent with an incredible coaching staff, I just think, and look, this Texans, having Nico Collins, they're a way different team. Nico Collins, I don't know where Randy would rank him, but he's probably in your top 5 at least, right, Randy?
Well, the reason why I'm glad you brought him up, because where was the Houston Texans as a whole, not just offensively, where were they at before Nico Collins' injuries? At the top. Where was Nico Collins performing him individually? At the top. Yes, they lost Stephon Diggs, but I think a guy like Nico Collins, and yes, you heard Lindsey talking about Tank Dell's nursing a back. In a game like this, with all that you're talking about in the Detroit Lions, this is a prime game for a guy like Nico Collins.
He might not play.
He might not play?
He might not play. They want to look pregame, but the vibes on him have been trending the other way. Now, again, we'll see what direction they go tonight, but I wouldn't count on him being. He might play. But if he does play, it will be limited at best in my mind. But I think they want to get a look at him pregame. So I wouldn't count on him being Nico Collins the way you know Nico Collins.
Well, just his presence out there, I think just having him. and what he meant to a guy like a young quarterback like C.J. Stroud. Okay, so we'll wait and see if he's available for the Houston Texans or not. But speaking of wide receivers,
yes.
Can I switch to the other side?
Please.
You talked about this 30 for 30
30 in a row.
with Amon-Ra St. Brown and what him and Jared Goff has been able to do thus far. And what Tedy was talking about, the 30 for 30, ladies and gentlemen, that means his last 30 targets he has caught all of them. Right here showing you last week in Green Bay with the conditions the way they were. Look at this route where he stops and then it's not a good route, but I want you to look at the focus in his hand-eye coordination of where he catches the ball. Anytime you're looking at the wide receiver position, I really gauge your hand-to-eye coordination on what type of receiver you are, and the reason why is because sometimes you have to make contested catches with your hands in traffic. One thing about Amon-Ra, I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. 30 for 30, that's very impressive. And one thing you did add, the Houston Texans tried to make him drop a ball.
Let's force one completion to start.
That's what we're looking for
incompletion to start. So, listen, Lindsay Theory, what she said was, I sort of perked up a little bit because she talked about what the Texans are talking about in terms of what the problems are, and they have to have more fun and joy. And to me, that's a sign of a young team. A young team that's still figuring things out on how to win football games and how to do it consistently. It's not joy. It's not happiness. Sure, you feel that when you win, okay? But Stroud can't just go out there with that goal, because why you're not having fun is because you're on your butt. You're on your back because they can't block for you, okay? Right. And that's what really needs to be talked about here.
So we have talked about Nico Collins and we have talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown, but we have news from Adam Schefter on other wide receivers today, and it is significant. Schefter, go.
Amari Cooper, the Buffalo Bills wide receiver, is out today against the Colts, and that means that the Buffalo Bills now will be down both Amari Cooper, who's not playing, and Keon Coleman. That's two receivers, and that means that they're going to have to lean on today guys like Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid and James Cook to catch the ball out of the backfield, because their top two wideouts here in Coleman and Amari Cooper, both now out today against the Colts.
Ray Davis too, maybe, yeah.
So how does that change everything? They're at Indy. The Bills have obviously been incredibly hot, but you're missing not only your top receiver, but your second best receiver. And we've talked a lot about the emergence of Coleman, how well he's been playing the last few weeks as well. So what might have looked at one time like a game the Bills should win fairly easily, does it no longer look that way?
Well, I think as long as you have a guy like Josh Allen and going against the Colts in their stadium, one thing that I've seen from the Colts in their zone defense, anytime you're playing a guy like Josh Allen, you can't give him big windows to throw in. You left out a guy like Mac Hollins, too, being able to stretch
He's bigger in the red zone.
Yeah, being able to stretch the deep part of the field today. So as long as they have a guy like Josh Allen and still playing that zone greenie, the Buffalo Bills
You think you're
right.
going to see two tight ends more with Kincaid and Knox? You think with the injuries?
Well, with the injury to your number one and your number two wide receiver, you can still run with Cook and you can still run some play action. So just look for that double tight end
This
package.
offensive line we've talked about in the past weeks here has really been playing well for the Buffalo Bills. And really, I mean, this is a group that could probably look themselves in the huddle and say, Coach, just lean on us. Let's run this football. We'll be able to get this win and start the buses.
The Bills are a 4.5-point favorite on the road at Indy. Again, as Schefter just told us, no Amari Cooper and no Keon Coleman.